Welcome, everyone. So happy that you are in attendance at the Firefighting in Canada Virtual Summit 2024, Recruitment, Retention, Succession. Vector Solutions is happy to be a sponsor at today's event. Myself, Judy Webb, and my colleague Matt Schantz and I are going to provide you with some knowledge on Vector Solutions and the modules we have for the fire service. Vector Solutions has worked with fire service for many decades. We are a proud provider of a training management system, which will help you with online learning, delivering policies and procedures, tracking all of your credentials and certifications and events and other valuable tools on that training management system. Also, we have an apparatus and inventory module. So if you're currently walking around the rig and doing that check with a clipboard and a pen, we can remove that, take that into technology. Also, all of that inventory with expiring dates, providing the ability to manage your needs for inventory counts and budgeting for future years on expiring equipment. And lastly, but not least, our scheduling tool. This tool provides you the ability to reach out to individuals when you need to fill shifts through technology, auction off vacations, manage trades, making it easy to get in contact with all of your staff. Let's remove the Excel spreadsheets and the bulletin boards and those calling queues, and let's take it to technology and help you do that in a much faster manner. I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Matt now, and he's going to provide you a few slides and a brief overview on the modules I just mentioned. Thanks so much for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Judy. I'm glad to be here with all of you today. So being around, like Judy said, since 1999, Vector Solutions Learning Management Platform, formerly known as Target Solutions, provides not just the tracking ability of your training program, but it has so much more. When we think about all of those courses, those activities that we're doing on a daily basis, and how do we tie that into our training program? But more importantly, how do we get that training program out? When we develop that schedule, whether it's on a spreadsheet or it's on some type of calendar or whiteboard, how do we disseminate that information out to the crews on the front line? And that's where we're going to talk about things like our calendar, being able to establish those events and provide the tools in the toolbox right there on that calendar functionality so that the crews on the front line can easily come in there and grab those items and document the activities and the courses that they're completing. As you see in the middle there, gives us the ability to make those assignments out there. So if you have specific items that are required for completion, you can make those assignments, get them out there into our folks' hands so that they have the tools to be successful. Now, when we think about the learning behaviors, we think about the three different styles of learning domains and how that correlates into what we deal with to the educational opportunities there in society today and the differences that we've achieved and seen at forefront. We think about cognitive learning, we think about affective learning, we think about psychomotor learning. Being able to take into a hybrid approach, if you will, to deliver that content. In this case, it's an FBA 1001 fire behavior course. It's an online course, but it's interactive. So it's challenging those folks as they're going through that material, and it's covering those what I like to call the back to the basics. But it's also, like I said, interactive. So we're making sure that their retention is there throughout that course. And how can we tie that part, that cognitive learning, into the hands-on learning? But in order to achieve positive success in our training program with cognitive and the psychomotor, we have to have that effective learning. So things like our custom activities are going to be able to take that context that we sat at the computer, we identified, we learned those back to the basics, and tying that in an instructor-led fashion there, whether it's at the training ground, whether it's on the apparatus floor. That's great, but we have to have objectives. We have to have a plan in place. And being able to utilize those custom activities to add PowerPoints, to add videos, to add our job performance requirements or objectives out there. But then ultimately, after we've completed those drills, being able to take that into the perspective that we have to document the who, what, when, where, and why, so that we are compliant with the NFPA standards of training documentation. But ultimately, as we go through there as training officers, as chief officers, we have to be able to track their progress. So whether it's from an administrative perspective or it's from the end user perspective, this gives me the ability to leverage our credentialing program to be able to build these topic areas out there. Here is an example. I can see my start date and end date of this particular credential. In this case, it's an Ontario Firefighter 1 credential. But I can see that I'm a third of the way through, or 33% through my firefighter safety. As I move down a little bit further, I see I'm 10% through my PPE. I'm 50% through my portable extinguishers and so forth. So it's giving me that snapshot view throughout the year of what I have left to do in my training program and my requirements for my Firefighter 1 certification. And that is how we're going to tie our learning behaviors, that cognitive, that psychomotor, and that effective learning to that online learning platform, that learning management system through Target Solutions, because we're going to deliver. We're going to go out there, we're going to document the trainings that we went on and we completed, and then ultimately we're going to be able to track those items through that credential here virtually like you see. Now with our asset management program that Ms. Judy talked about early on, that was our Check It program. And with Check It, it gives us the ability to take that pen and paper and throw it in the garbage and utilize technology that we're comfortable and familiar with using on a day-to-day basis to come in here and see things like what equipment is assigned to me, going in there and completing an apparatus check right from a mobile device. And Ms. Judy can go in there, she can track her requirements and her items that she's tracking on that particular apparatus, and I can also complete that same checklist at the same time, and it all integrates and syncs together. But more importantly, how do we build those items out? How do we as administrators track those maintenance items so we know? Things like our checklists on our apparatus, things like work order tickets. What I often like to refer to as closing the loop in the fire service, something that we have a great challenge with, because oftentimes we find an issue with something, but it's difficult to translate that and communicate that to the right folks in our organization to get those items and those issues rectified and back in service. So being able to automatically go in there, complete a checklist, when something fails, it notifies the proper person, and ultimately building in and tying into our service tasks for the apparatus. Gives me also the ability to go in there and track my equipment. When I'm looking at the quality versus the quantity of my equipment, things like PPE, SCBAs, ground letters, hose and appliances, and so forth, not just tracking who they're assigned to, but also when are they coming due for expiration. Gives me that ability to go in there and see all that information and ultimately report back out so I can see what equipment is due next year and the year after and the year after. When we look at our shift scheduler, it gives me the ability to do that information right from the mobile device. Just like Check It through a native mobile app, our vector scheduling platform gives me the ability to see things like what is my roster for the day. If I'm an employee and I need to perform a shift trade or put in a time off request, all from that mobile app. And then ultimately, the mobile app directly translates into the platform itself. So I can see how many people are required for each assignment. Not just how many people are required for each assignment, but also what are their qualifications. So I know that I have to have a company officer or somebody that can drive and operate that apparatus. Or maybe that particular apparatus requires a specialized training, and we need to have that apparatus or that resource staffed with certain people. We can build that out and have that algorithm assigned in the background so that this can function automatically and you don't have to stress and worry about making sure that those apparatuses are filled efficiently. It's all going to be there on the back end for you. Gives you the ability to go on emergency responses, go to training, go to meetings, do the things that we know we're tasked with on a day-to-day basis without stressing over who's going to fill that overtime shift. All of that's going to be built and automated in the background so that we can be successful and streamlined with that approach. So this is a little bit about our 3 products with the learning management platform, the asset management through Check It, as well as our shift scheduler through vector scheduling.
Matt, thanks. Thanks so much. That was a great brief description of the 3 modules we have for the fire service in Canada. Again, very brief because we only have a few minutes today. So I'd love to continue these conversations with all of you in your departments. Find a little bit about your departments, where some gaps are, and hopefully where our technology can help fill those gaps. So for more information, please contact me and my little friend up there. I can be reached at judy.webb@vectorsolutions.com. I hope to hear from you all soon. Have yourselves a fantastic day.